good afternoon. Okay, yeah, so from wherever you're joining, you are welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to day three of this training series where I've been sharing about raising responsible and independent children. How has it been from day one till now? I want you to tell us where you are joining us from. Let us know in the chat where you are streaming from. My name is Sandra Oluwadari for those who may not know me, and I am a parenting coach and a child development consultant. I support parents to raise wholesome and well-balanced children who can thrive in today's world. Thank you for joining me in this session. So let us know where you are joining from. It's been an amazing 2 days so far, and today is going to be the highlight where I'm just going to be capping everything that I have been talking about. We've talked about building trust. We've talked about um, effective communication. We've talked about your routines and structures that need to be in place, how to create these routines and how to implement them, because we have some children who are able to actually create routines. Some children create routines, but they are not able to follow through, right? They are not able to, they don't want to follow through with the routines. They do one thing, they abandon it, they move on to the next thing. We talked about all of those yesterday and how you can get your child to follow through with their routines. And today we're going to be talking about how you can support their independence. How you can support their independence. Remember, we're talking about how to raise that child who is self-reliant, that child who you don't need to drag, that child who you don't need to constantly remind to do stuff. We're going to be talking about how you can actually support um, their independence, how you can nurture, because these things are usually in these children, these skills are in them, but the way you nurture it will determine if those skills will come into fruition or if they are just going to be latent in the child. So that's what we're going to be talking about today as we wrap up this training series. Thank you so much for joining once again. So we're going to be looking at, creating that autonomy. Yeah, I know that we want to create autonomy for our children. Yeah, but at the same time, we must understand that there's a place of balance. There's a place where you're not just creating that autonomy, but you are creating a balance such that you are able to also guide them, because it's not just about being, sorry, one moment, it's not just about saying, okay, these children can just go and do what they want to do, but how are you also providing guidance? How are you ensuring that as much as you are granting them autonomy, you are also able to draw the line, right? They also know where to draw the line. They know how not to overstep boundaries, right? That balance is really important, because the fact that I want to raise independent children does not mean that they can just fly off on their own, right? This is so important. And so the first thing that I'm going to be highlighting in this session is how you can balance support and autonomy. As much as you want to release them, you want to give them their wings to fly, how are you going to come in to support them? This is so important. Now, we have a lot of parents doing the helicopter style today. They are constantly hovering over their children. They are micromanaging them. They want to know what they are doing per time. They want to, it's like they are almost choking the children, right? It's not bad to care about your child. It's not bad to want to know what's going on in the child's life or in the child's, how the child's day is going, but at the same time, you want to ensure that you are not micromanaging the child's life, because that is going to be you watering down the effect of what you are trying to build. You're trying to build responsibility in your child. But once you begin to micromanage their lives, you are you are watering down that effect, and you realize that it's like you are planting and uprooting at the same time. So how can you now come in to support your child without being in the child's face, like without micromanaging the child's life, without just breathing down the child's, chest? Because what this also does is that it pulls the children away from you. If you are always in their face, you keep telling them what they already know, you keep policing them all about, it gets to a point where they are like, please, I need to breathe. Do you get? So we need to just know where to step back and allow them implement what it is that we have been putting into them. So the first thing you want to do to provide that support without micromanaging their lives is to set clear expectations, right? And what this means is that you are communicating what is expected. I talked really much about this yesterday. You want to let the child understand clearly what is expected. A lot of parents have expectations and they are not able to communicate these expectations effectively. For example, you tell a child to go to their room, right, and clean their room. It's a child, one child may understand that, but the other child would need you to say, go to your room, pick up your dirty clothes, put them in the laundry basket, make your bed, close your bathroom door, and ensure that the bathroom is clean, fold your clothes. Do you understand? For some children, they can take instructions one off, but for some other children, you need to spell it out. You need to tell them what is expected, and sometimes, in fact all the time, let them repeat. That is called emotional reflection. Let them repeat what you have said such that everybody is on the same page, right? So it's not just about saying go and clean your room. Cleaning your room could be anything. It could be me just going into the room and just sweeping the floor, but the bed is still dirty, my clothes are still strewn all over the place, right? So if your expectation is to have your child deliver a clean bedroom, you should be able to go the extra mile to say, this is what I want you to do, that, and all of that. So your expectation needs to be clear. Very important, because we find children, when I'm having sessions with them, they are trying their best to do what their parents, expect of them, but at the same time, they do not understand fully what their parents want. On their end, they're trying to deliver on that assignment, but they are not meeting at a point. There's no sync, right? Because the parents are also not clearly expressing what they want from the child. And so it is important that we are on the same page, because communication is so important. You can go back to watch the replay from yesterday's session where I talked much about effective communication, right? You can be saying one thing as a parent and your child is hearing another thing, and then you go complaining and complain that the child is stubborn, the child does not listen and all of that, but the child does not understand what you are saying, or the child even understands, but he understands in another form. I hope we know that as communication goes on, it begins to change. When you relay a message to person A, by the time person A is telling person B, there's a slight distortion. When person B is telling person C, there's even much more distortion. And by the time the information gets to person E, the person might be hearing something different. So we need to be sure that we are always on the same page. And that's why getting your children to repeat the instruction is very important. And that's why even when you are listening to your children, there's more impact when you repeat what they say. Okay, so you are saying that when you were at school yesterday, somebody did this to you. Do you understand? So you are mirroring, you are reflecting what the child is saying, such that everybody has a proper understanding of the information that is being passed. This is so important. And then you need to allow for autonomy. Autonomy is not by mouth. It's not by saying, oh, I want to raise a child that is self-reliant. I want to raise a child that can do things for himself. But are you allowing that autonomy? Are you giving your child space? Some parents are breathing down the necks of their children. These children can actually do things. We underrate them a lot of times. They can do a lot of things themselves, right? Except children whose love language may be acts of service, and they can actually do something, but they just want to relax and say, "Mommy, please do this for me. Mommy, please, I want you to cook for me." It's not as if they can't cook, but because one of their love languages is having people do stuff for them, right? So sometimes it's acceptable when you just do those things for them. But the truth is, children can actually do a lot of things, especially when it comes to problem solving, when it comes to critical thinking. They can do these things, but we don't allow them, right? We don't. One moment, please. We don't allow them. And so it gets to a point where we begin to say, this child is not even doing this child is not even doing that, this child cannot take simple instruction. How can you at this age, you can't go and get something yourself? But we fail to realize that in one way or the other, we have empowered that disempowering behavior. And so I love to say, before you even come out to cry or to say, "Oh, this child is stressing you," and all of that, you need to have ticked all the boxes. You need to have reflected and checked if you have enabled irresponsibility in any way. Because children are a product of their programming. What you put in is what you get out. And I'm not placing the fault entirely on parents, right? Because your environment, your upbringing, your significant emotional experiences have a role to play in how you see things, in how you do things, right? So that child is a product of how he has been programmed, either by any of these factors. So before we want to come out to label the child, to castigate the child, or begin to say this child is this or that, we also need to be sure that we have not empowered irresponsibility. How are you allowing your child to have autonomy when it comes to washing plates, for example? Some parents will be like, "Please, oh, I don't want you to mess up my kitchen. I don't want you, whenever you do this thing, just pour water everywhere. You waste all the washing soap and all of that." And because of that, you now say, "It will take me lesser time to just wash my plates myself. Let me just do it myself, because if I allow you to do it, it's going to take a very long time to clean up the mess." And because of that, you deprive the child of being responsible in that regard. Because you are running away from the mess, the child doesn't learn to mop, because it will take you 1 hour for you to get the child to mop, but it will take you 10 minutes to just go and do the mopping yourself. And so because we want to shy away from all of those messes that will be created, we deprive the children. When you cook with them, it takes a longer time, and so you're like, "Oh, in 10 minutes I can be done with this cooking. If I allow this girl come and join me now, we're going to be here for another 30 minutes. Oh, please, let her just stay." And then you keep going, and you have a teenager who cannot lift a finger. You are in the kitchen sweating it out, and she's seated there waiting for you to bring her food. We need to reflect, go back to the drawing board, and see how we are enabling irresponsibility in one way or the other. And we must understand that this is a building block that we're talking about. It is not just something that happens overnight. What you do as you interact with the child on a daily basis, you are actually leaving deposits one at a time, and before you know it, you have built a foundation that is already faulty from the get-go. So we need to ensure that we are taking this into consideration. At some point, you need to step back and allow your child take on tasks. They won't get it right the first time. You ask them to clean your bedroom, they won't do it well the first time. And I was on an interview some time ago, and I was asking the presenter, I'm like, "How many times did they teach you how to cook before you started cooking? Before you started cooking well?" And I told the presenter, I said, "Even I, who is speaking, how many times did they teach me how to sweep the floor properly before I got it?" So sometimes we forget that we got here from a process, out of a process, and we are still in the process of our making. But when the child doesn't get it the first, second, fourth, 10th time, 15th time, we want to give up and we want to start saying, oh, this child is not getting it. As much as you can, keep going over and over again with your teachings and all of that, and they will get it. We need to step back. Even when they fry that akara, if it doesn't come out well, it's okay. The next time they try, the next time you allow them to try frying that akara, it will come out better. That's it. So we need to learn to step back and allow them, do things. This will help them become more responsible. And then the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to, allowing them to be independent is you providing the necessary tools they need. You have to create an enabling environment. Anyhow, no matter your budget, no matter your economic class, you should be able to create an enabling environment for the child. When it comes to learning, when it comes to life skills, their academics, social skills, when it comes to, how well they are able to manage tasks and all of that, you can actually create an enabling environment. What do I mean by this? Whatever it is you want the child to do, you should be able to prep the environment to help the child deliver on that expectation. What do I mean? For example, you want a child to love reading and there are no books in sight. Everything in sight is just gadgets, gadgets, gadgets. There's a large screen TV, there's an iPad, there's a laptop, there's a phone that the child has access to at any time. There is no single educational material. There is no single book. They have never seen you carry a book to read, and you want to raise a child who can read. So that is an example of an environment that is not enabling. That environment I just described is not enabling, and it will not empower the child to read. You want the child to be good. Maybe the child is still developing the fine motor skills. The child cannot write well. The child is still finding it difficult to hold the pencil. You can create an enabling environment by putting different sensory materials around the child. You can have a container where you put water that is covered. You have a container where you put sand. You have a container where you put maybe cotton wool. You have a container where you put maybe blocks, something that is smooth, something that is rough, right? You have an environment where you have toys that they can hold. You have things like them trying to fix a button and all of that. That is an environment that is enabling the child to develop his fine motor skills. Do you understand? You have a child that is not writing properly, and all the child does for recreation is watch, shows on the tablet or the iPad or the phone, and you're saying, oh, they are watching this particular show, is good for children, or it teaches them how to produce their sounds, how to, speak well. Is that your goal for that time? That's not your goal for that moment. Your goal for that moment is for the child to have a good grip of the pencil, for the child to have a good grasp, for the child to be able to hold things properly. So that is what you should surround the child with at that point. That is an example of you creating an enabling environment for the child. You want the child to be able to wash plates, right? And your kitchen sink is this high, and the child is this tall. That kitchen is not an enabling environment for the child. It's either you now bring down the things that the child can use to wash, maybe you now bring out a bowl or something, or you get a stool or a chair, you place it there so that the child can always take his plate from the kitchen, stand on the stool, drop it in the sink, and probably wash it. That is you creating an enabling environment for that child to thrive in being empowered with that particular skill that you're looking to empower the child with. So that is an example of what I'm talking about when I say provide the right tools and resources. Your child has shown interest in speaking. She loves to speak a lot. What can you do? Go and look for videos of children who are speaking and get your child to begin to watch those videos. That is you curating resources that will empower your child in that particular, area. That's what I'm talking about. And then another thing you want to do is to come in to offer support when needed. Don't jump in to come and save them from every little setback they encounter. They are playing with their building blocks, and then the blocks crumble and you run in to say, oh, let me help you. Let them try again themselves. Or they're doing an assignment, a project, and they're finding it difficult, and the next thing is, oh, bring it, let me help you do it. No, you can come in to support them. So why do you think these blocks crumbled? So why do you think you're not getting the answer correctly? Okay, can we approach it from this angle? Can we do it this way? Allow them to bring their critical thinking skills to play so that they will be better for it. But when you jump in to always tell them what to do, what happens when you are not there? What will they do, right? So learn to ask them questions that will juggle their problem solving skills, questions that will help them begin to think and say, okay, how can I get this done? I did not, the school bus came and I didn't get ready in time. So what happened last night? Was it that I didn't sleep early, or was it that I didn't sleep well? What can we do? You begin to ask the child, so what can you do to ensure that you wake up earlier, right? This is what I am talking about. Be ready to come in to offer support. That we're talking about autonomy doesn't mean that you now step back completely. You see the child, you see that the child is going to fall. You now stay there and say, I'm teaching the child autonomy. No. Be ready to step in when you need to. Be ready to provide guidance and support when you need to. As much as we want to raise self-reliant children, we also don't want them getting into trouble. This is very important. And then, this is very important. You need to teach the children how to self-evaluate. You need to teach them how to assess themselves, right? Any system that does not have a feedback has a flaw, right? There must be some sort of feedback, even in the home. As a parent, if you are not getting feedback, nobody is telling you, your children are not telling you, mommy, this thing you are doing, it doesn't go down well with me. And we even have some children saying that, but their parents have termed or labeled them to be disrespectful. They've labeled them to be impolite. If a child is telling you that she doesn't like this thing when you do it, that child is doing something that is good, so long as he's doing it in a polite manner. There's nothing wrong in your child telling you that, Dad, when you speak to me this way, it makes me feel a certain way. That's a feedback, right? We are not here to be the Lord over our children. We are here as authority figures over their lives, but we are a family. We have a relationship. And as a parent, you are a leader. You cannot be far off. You can't be far ahead. And the people you are leading are way behind. You have to be on the same page. So you cannot be leading, and nobody is telling you anything. Your wife or your husband cannot tell you anything. You are the all in all. You call the shots. It's either your way or the highway. No feedback of any sort. So how do you assess what you're doing? How do you evaluate your work as a parent? The same thing applies to the children. Teach them how to self-evaluate. Before people begin to assess them, before people begin to say, oh, the way you talk is not right. The way you write is not good. The way you respond to your sibling is not right. Teach them how to sit down, reflect, and begin to ask themselves these questions. The way I talk to people, is it good? Is it okay the way I react to my siblings and all of that, right? How you can implement this is you giving your child the opportunity to review their actions or their tasks. So maybe when they finish writing an essay or something, give it back to them. Read this thing you wrote. Can you read it? Can you see your handwriting? Does it look good? Right? Then the child will say, I can read it, but it doesn't really look good. So what does that tell you? You are asking the child, and the child says, okay, means I need to improve on my handwriting. That's just an example, right? Give them opportunities to be able to review their work, their task. When they finish cleaning the bathroom, take them there. Does this look clean in your eyes? Isn't this water I can see on the floor? Well done, you did well, but I want you to assess this task that you did. How many percent would you give yourself? You can even bring in their siblings, and just do like a general assessment. But remember, whatever you do, ensure that you are not breaking their spirits, ensure that you are not um, depleting their self-esteem by the way you speak to them and by the way you go about that assessment. So teach them to be able to assess themselves. That way they'll be able to call themselves to order. When they speak in a way that is not nice, before you even come to correct them, they would, no, I shouldn't have done that, right? This is so important, very important skill every children should have. And then as you ask them, you also come in and say, so what do you think you should do best next time? What do you think you should not do in order to get a better result the next time you're trying out this task? That way you are juggling their critical thinking skills, and they are already problem solving. They're already seeing the gaps, and they know what or what not to do the next time. This is really important. And then remember, we're talking about how to build responsibility and independence in your child, right? So we have talked about how to support and guide your children even as you give them autonomy. And then the next thing I want to talk about is how you can actually recognize and celebrate their achievement, because this is a very huge role in raising a responsible child. If you're giving a child a responsibility, or if you want a child to be self-reliant, you want a child to be able to use their initiative, there's a place for positive reinforcement through praise, right? Because if they are getting something right, I talked a lot about this yesterday, if they are getting something right and you are pretending as if you can't see what they are doing, they are ticking all the boxes and you are pretending like you don't see anything, but the moment they make a mistake, you begin to call them out, it will not nurture responsibility in them, because that way they feel that they're not doing anything good. They feel that it's only when they make mistakes that they're being called out. And since you are not saying anything when they get things right, it means that even those things they are getting right don't make sense. So those habits, those things they are getting right, are not being reinforced, right? So they feel, why should I even do it? All the ones that I've been doing, mommy doesn't see them. It's only when I make a mistake she calls me out. So how do you offer praise? How do you recognize their achievement, right? One of the first things you can do is to offer specific praise. Don't just be saying, oh, good job. Oh, you are so wonderful. Excellent performance. Oh, you are amazing. Yeah, there is time for that. There's time for you to offer those kinds of praises, right? But what will give you much more better results is when you are specific. Tell them what you are praising them for. That way they are able to identify the exact habits, tasks, and things they do that make you praise them. So for example, you can say, oh, well done. I loved how you were able to calm your sister when she was really overstimulated. The child knows that, oh, so next time if my sister is overstimulated, it would be nice if I can calm her, because you did not just say, oh, good job, good job. It's not about good job. What is the good job for? Do you understand? This is more empowering. Oh, well done. Beautiful results. I loved how you smashed mathematics. I loved how well you did in English. Wow, look at your French results. Amazing. Do that so they know the specific areas that they are doing well, and you realize that they begin to work more towards excelling in those areas, right? And they are able to identify the areas where they are not really excelling, and they know what's best to do. This is so important. Learn to offer specific praise, right? If they finish their food, don't just say, hey, well done, good job. Say, oh, I love that you finished your food. I loved it. I love that you ate all the vegetables. Amazing. Next time, they will want to eat the vegetables again, right? This is very important. And then the next thing you want to do that can also help when it comes to, reinforcing their amazing habits, or when they do very well, is to celebrate their milestones. This is not a matter of one's economic class, whether somebody is doing well, whether you have money or not. No, celebration is not about lights, camera, and action. You can do it your own way. You can have your own family ritual. You can decide to say, okay, this is how we'll celebrate this milestone. You can just do it according to your budget, but please don't let these milestones slide. It's a big deal for the children to be celebrated. Do you know that there are some people who still, some adults today, who still struggle with celebrating people, or they keep struggling with taking in or being celebrated because they did not have these experiences as children growing up. So don't let these landmarks slide. Don't let these milestones slide. As much as you can celebrate them, a lot of them have finished their exams. They'll be going to a new class. Even before the session resumes, find a way to celebrate them. It could be you cooking a special dinner for everyone. It could be you all going out. It could be you just popping corn and just seeing a movie, and you say the theme of today's celebration is that you all did well and you're moving to the next class. Yay! That way the children are learning to accept being celebrated and to also celebrate others. I hope you know that some people are not able to accept compliments even as adults. You tell them, oh, you look amazing, I love your dress, and they're like, thank you. You, Uncle, what about you? You even look more beautiful than me. Oh, your dress is even more beautiful than me. They don't accept it. It's still difficult to accept compliments and just keep it there. Oh, Sandra, you do so amazingly well. I love it for you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Full stop. But some people will still say, and I'm not saying continuing with the back and forth is wrong, but it's a problem for some people to be like, me doing well, okay. When you are there, it's you we are looking at, and all of that. Sometimes just taking the compliment and appreciate the person, right? They really mean well. And this thing starts from the cradle. It starts from how you celebrate your children. Some people, their self-esteem is so depleted that even when you are praising them, they will think you are mocking them. You tell them that, oh, I love the way you walk. They'll be like, They don't even believe you. Do you understand? All of these things start from the cradle. So we need to learn to celebrate their milestones no matter what. No matter what you have, just find a way to celebrate. You can even design a card. You can just write beautiful words and present it to the child or whoever is hitting a milestone and say, we are just celebrating you as a family for this great feat that you achieved. This is so important. And then, okay, I've talked about reinforcing their behaviors positively and all of that. And then you also want to share these achievements, right? I'm not saying tell the world about the achievements. Some people are private, they don't like to share stuff, right? And some people would rather keep things to themselves, but now you can share within your family, right? Get their siblings to come up with their siblings can make cards for them. Their siblings can do things for them and say, okay, today you are not going to do your chore. We're going to treat you to a special dinner. We're going to do everything for you today because we just want to celebrate you and all of that. Just make it remarkable for them. And then another thing you want to do, remember I talked about having your child assess themselves, getting them to, review their work, getting them to review their behavior and their response so that they can know where the gaps are and how to fill those gaps, right? It also applies here when it comes to reinforcing their behavior. You also want your child to take a step back and reflect on their achievement. Sometimes everything is just happening fast, and people are not able to soak in their achievements. Even as adults, when I am coaching parents, I see this a lot of times. So many people are doing amazing work, right? But they don't see it. They don't see it because growing up, these people did not have the opportunity to self-reflect, to say, oh, I am doing a good job, I achieved this. Do you understand? Begin to raise your child to step back and relish the beauty of achieving that particular thing. So now they're coming back. It's been a whole session. The session is probably over in your child's school. Get them to sit down. In fact, you can lead this conversation. Tell them, oh, another school year has ended. I want us to reflect. Think about it. What would you say? What would you say about your performances? First term, second term, third term. What would you say? You've done so well. Even for the children that may not have done well. If you look within, that's why I don't like parents labeling their children. In that child that you are labeling that you think is a problem child, there are so many positive things about that child. If only you will put your pen on paper and begin to, in fact, if you begin to write the positive things about your child, you'll be amazed. Now, I know that a parent might be saying, Miss Sandra, you don't even know 1% of my child. Hey, there's nothing good about the child. It's a lie. It's not true. It is not true. It's not always about the behavior. How about the fact that the child brought light to your life? How about the fact that the child is a superstar, whether you can see the star shining or not? How about the fact that the child, God has said this child is a city set on a hill? How about the fact that God has said this child is the light of the world and the salt of the earth? Oh, because you can't see those things manifesting now, you think they won't happen. Were you like this before? No, I was not like this before. That child is going to evolve so long as you are laying the right foundation. That child is a superstar in the making. When Mary was going to have Jesus, even though the angel had told her you're going to birth the Savior, I'm sure she did not have a full picture of who Jesus was going to be. But look at all the great things that Jesus did. I'm sure she would have marveled a lot of times that, is this my son? Do you understand? So that child that you are still pulling the ears, you are still thinking that, hey, this child now, how is this child going to be? Let this child not stress me, and all of that. You'll be amazed that that child will cause you to step on global stages. You'll be amazed that because of the skills and the talents of that child, you will taste what you never imagined you would taste positively. Do you understand? So don't write any child off. Don't write anybody off. Everyone is in the process of their making. And the fact that what you see today does not look like where you want the child to be, it doesn't mean you should give up. Keep building that solid foundation. It will speak in the end. So take time out to begin to write the positive things about your child. If you feel that you don't see any positive thing, go to the Bible and begin to look for what God has said about your child. And hold on to those words. And begin to stay with those words. And begin to speak those words into existence. This is so important. So you want to actually help your child reflect on their achievements. What are their proud moments? Oh, did they participate in their inter-house sport? They came home with a medal. They won a spelling bee competition. They won a math competition. Even if they didn't win anything, oh, they completed all their notes for the 3 terms. They were waking up and going to school every day. It's an achievement. So find something after you give your child the chance to reflect. If you see that they're not coming up with any sensible thing, begin to prod them. Begin to give them clues. Oh, baby, but you woke up every day of this term and you got ready and you went to school. When I wanted to give you a bath, you allowed me to give you a bath. You dressed up and you went to school. It's an achievement. Right? This is a training that everybody needs to engage in. Because we find a lot of adults today, they've done so much, but they don't see it. They'll be comparing themselves to another person, forgetting that they've done a lot. In fact, let me give you this assignment. Go back home today as an adult, as a parent. Go and write everything that you have achieved. In fact, if you are the one that cooks meals for your family, cooking meals for your family for 1 whole week, for 1 whole month is a big deal, right? You are not just, give yourself a name, right? Make it have steez. Do you understand? Praise yourself. A lot of people today, they cannot accept compliments. They can't praise themselves. They feel that they've not done anything good, they are always downplaying their abilities. Some people are doing so well in the career space, but they don't see it because they feel it's not enough. I even got promoted, but shebi that person got promoted 2 years before me, and you begin to talk down on yourself. But what made you get promoted? Because there's something up here. So we need to begin to also teach our children how to look inwards and begin to identify the great things they are doing. Have them identify the fact that they are able to pull things off, they are able to do this, they are able to manage situations, they are able to come out of difficult situations. These are very important things we should be teaching children. These are the things that will help them navigate through life. Imagine you having this mindset, because life will throw things at you that you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to second guess yourself. Imposter syndrome. You'll be like, am I enough? Can I do this thing? This new position they gave me now, can I function in it? Do I have the capacity to fulfill this order? Somebody came to order for 1,000 pieces of handbags. Can I do it? Imposter syndrome. But if you build the habit of highlighting your power spots, highlighting the great things you are doing, you realize that even on the days where you feel bad, go and bring out all of those things that you have written. Begin to read all the amazing things that you have been doing. Oh, I organized this conference. Oh, I spoke to this number of parents. Oh, I've been on this number of interviews. I've appeared in newspaper searches. Oh, da 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 da. My goodness, you would realize that you are enough. This is so important. I mean, this is one of the reasons why lots of children today are struggling with self-esteem, because in their minds, they are no good. There's nothing good in them, because they don't have exercises like this where they can reflect and begin to pick out the things that they are actually good at. This is so important. And then another thing you want to do is to also get them to begin to problem solve, right? Remember, we're talking about how to raise that responsible child, that independent child that you really desire to have. Teach them to put their problem solving skills into action. I've talked about this before. And how can you do this? When there's a challenge, maybe they are stuck in their assignment or they are not able to do this particular task, you get them to identify the problem. So what's the problem? Identifying the problem is such a big deal. You cannot just say, oh, I can't do this thing, I can't do this thing, it's confusing. And all. What is the problem? Which part of it is confusing you? Teach them to identify problems. When they are able to identify the problems, that is when they'll be able to brainstorm and say, okay, if this is the problem, then let me do it like this so we can get a solution. So you want to encourage them to articulate their identification. So you were trying to use your Legos to build this mansion. So what happened? The thing just scattered, it crumbled. Why do you think it crumbled? And the child begins to think, okay, I think it's because I didn't fix this one well. This Lego did not connect with this one properly. And you say, okay, so what will you do next? What do you want to do next? Okay, mommy, let me try to connect it properly. Simple. Can you imagine the difference between this scenario I just painted and, oh, mommy, this thing I was building just crumbled. And you come, okay, bring it. Let me put it for you. And you put it, and the child runs off. You solve the problem. But when that thing happens again tomorrow, the child will need to call you. That is what I am talking about. Help the child learn to identify problems. Ask them questions. What problem are you trying to solve? What exactly are you trying to do? This is so important. And then encourage them to brainstorm. Brainstorming is not an easy task, right? It's not a place a lot of people want to be. A lot of people cannot sit down to think. They cannot sit down to think. And thinking is very important. You have to have some moments of quietness to think things through. And that's why you find organizations, they go off on brainstorming sessions. Sometimes they even go to resorts. Sometimes they'll get everyone to travel to other countries, other locations. You know, they can even incorporate fun into it because they want everybody to be in the right state of mind when they are brainstorming, because brainstorming is not a walk in the park. You want to begin to teach your children how to brainstorm, so that they are able to come up with quality solutions for whatever problem it is, right? Ask questions like, what are the ways you think we can achieve this? What are the ways you think we can come out of this problem, and all of that. These are, I see them as gifts that you give your children. These are things that money cannot buy. Can you imagine instilling these kinds of skills into your children from a young age? You would rest. You will have a lot of rest, because they will not, and that is what self-reliance is. They won't come and be disturbing you for every little thing. You will not be their PA for life. Do you know what it means to be your child's PA? Oh my goodness. So this is something I really want us to focus on, right? It will help our children a lot. And then, as your children are brainstorming, as they come up with solutions, teach them how to evaluate the solutions. So, why do you think we should do this? Okay, why don't we do it this way? If we do it this way, what do you think it will cost us? What would it do to us? Would it mean that we'll be losing a night's sleep? Would it mean that we'll be going to bed later than is expected if we follow this route, right? You are not just teaching them to brainstorm, you are also teaching them to ask themselves questions, right? So that they are able to evaluate those solutions that they are brainstorming, because after brainstorming, it's not all the solutions that would fly. You now still have to run those solutions through filters to know which one is most appropriate to remedy that problem or that situation. Very important. And so your child is able to select solutions. Now, when I talk about filters, right, so let me say, for example, we are brainstorming solutions on how to do a particular thing, and then your child says, okay, mommy, why don't we do it like this? And then you can ask the child, okay, so I love the solutions that you've come up with. Now ask yourself, baby, is this in line with our family values? Now I want you to run these 3 solutions you've come up with, run them through our family values. Which one of them aligns with our family values? That is an example of what I'm talking about. So when they come up with solutions, they are able to run it through. You are teaching them ways to be able to evaluate, to know which solution is most appropriate. This is so important. And what this does is that your child will be able to make sound decisions. Not that they will not come with 50 options and say, mommy, choose, mommy, choose. They will be able to streamline those 50 options to even 5, and then say, okay, mommy, choose. Which one should we go with? Do you understand? Teaching your child to be responsible. Something really, really important that every parent should do. What plans do you have, right, to ensure that these solutions you have come up with can be implemented? This is something you will also want to make your children understand, so that they don't have abandoned projects everywhere, unfinished project everywhere. Following through is so important. And then after they have followed through, you now sit down and begin to review the outcome, right? Let the child sit down and say, okay, so after doing this and that, what was the outcome? Did I solve this problem? Were we able to solve this problem as a family? Okay, is this something we can replicate next time if this thing happens? This is what I am talking about. This is a sound framework to help your child go from problem to quality, so coming up with quality solutions, implementing those solutions, and coming out of that challenge. Very important. Yes, ma'am, parenting isn't a joke. It isn't a joke. And with everything I'm saying, it sounds so elaborate, so detailed and all of that. But you see, you can actually incorporate fun into these things. So this process that I've outlined, it looks so long, but it's something that you can actually do in 20-30 minutes, right? It's how you go about it that matters, especially if you understand the personality of your children. I talked about personality of your children yesterday, right? So you can actually Because one thing I've realized is parenting is not a joke, like you said. It is something we have to. You can't go to sleep and say, I want to cross my legs and I just sit down there and please let me breathe. I'm tired. No. But now that we know that this is not a walk in the park, we should now begin to come up with ways that can help us enjoy the journey, so that we are not just seeing it as parenting is work, oh, parenting is work, oh, I'm investing all my time in this parenting is work, right? So how can we now approach it in such a way that we are also enjoying it, even though there are times where you enjoy it, even though there are times where you need to sweat it out, but you now come up with ways that can make you enjoy the process while you are on it. Very important. But with the help of God and the right information such as this will help us through. That is exactly what I'm talking about. And this framework that I've just given you, this process of getting your children to think for themselves, is something that once you take your time to teach them how to do it, you can teach them the first, the second, the third time. You can even teach them 10 times. But the truth is, once they get it, it is for life. Once they get it, they've gotten it. That's the beauty of it, right? So you find that making that sacrifice actually pays. Very important. Now, let me quickly wrap this up. I'll quickly talk about encouraging creativity and resilience, right? Now, what this does in helping you raise that responsible child is that you will be encouraging them to have a growth mindset, right? A growth mindset is very important. Some people have fixed mindset. Some people cannot even listen to sessions like this because their mindset is fixed. They're like, what do I want to learn again in parenting? Who are you to come and teach me about parenting and all of that? Do you understand? That's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset really allows you to grow. A growth mindset allows you to reach out, get the right information, implement the information, and you are able to also, your children are able to glean this growth mindset from you. If you have an open mind, you have an open mindset, you have an open heart to learning, your children can perceive these things. They will learn it from you as well. But when you are always of the opinion that I can't attend that session, I can't join this session, it will show, right? And your children will pick it too. So as you are trying to encourage that growth mindset, what it does for your children is that it teaches them that challenges or problems are opportunities for them to grow, opportunities for them to learn how best to do things, right? And this is so important. A fixed mindset is not empowering at all. And then you also, when you implement everything I have said so far in these 3 days, you're also teaching your child to understand that they can think outside the box. And this is so key. It's not just one road that leads to a particular destination, right? I know that the right road is very important. The right information is very important. But by doing all of these, we are teaching our children to think, especially that aspect where I was talking about brainstorming. They are able to think, okay, if I can't pour water into this cup, can I turn the cup and then how can I get the water into the cup? Can I use a straw? Instead of pouring the water, can I use a tap or something? They would have the opportunity to, come up with ideas that are outside the box, especially if you are not always jumping in to come and solve problems for them. And what all of this does is that it teaches them to be resilient. These children become resilient. They are able to weather the storm because you have taught them how to stay and think. I'm not joking when I said that some people cannot sit down to think. People sit down to worry. A lot of people sit down to worry. Not many people sit down to think. They are two different things. We need to find time in our day, even if you can't do it every day, find time to sit down and think constructively, think creatively. This problem that you are in, how can you get out of it? If you take time to really think, you realize that your mind gets open and you are able to begin to see the silver lining in that dark place. You are able to begin to think about solutions. This is very important, right? I want us to really hold on to this particular key. It will not just help our children, it will help us too, right? So these children, they develop resilience. Once you are able to stay in that place to think, you are able to brainstorm, you become resilient. You can, weather a lot of storms, because you know that no problem, this situation might be very challenging, but I just need time to think. I'll come out of it. That will become their mindset. They won't start crying, oh, this challenge now. Do you understand? They know that all I need to do is have some time to think, and I know that I will think it through. This is very important. Imagine your child going to the university with this mindset. Imagine your child going off to boarding school with this mindset. They'll be fine. Do you understand? They will be able to think through and make solid decisions. Very important. And then, like I said earlier, I was talking about the fact that we need to celebrate their achievements. We also need to do it here. Once your children are able to think through, even if you now come in to assist them in the thinking process and all of that, celebrate the outcome. Oh, finally, we're able to fix this thing. Oh, well done for your thinking abilities, well done for brainstorming, well done for this, well done for that, depending on the exact things that the children did. Celebrate the outcome. And even after all said and done, if things did not turn out well, it's fine. Still come out to give a feedback. Oh, you guys did amazing. I saw the efforts that all of you put in. Even though at the end of the day, we still could not achieve it, but you guys did so much. You are amazing. Well done. Next time, we'll try better. Maybe next time we'll approach it from this angle. Do you understand? Give a final feedback so that the children, you're not just even teaching them for what will happen in their family. They will carry this framework even into their relationship with people, their career, and all of that. And they'll be able to give a proper flow chart. They'll be able to draw a flow chart of how they are able to solve problems from the beginning to the end. This helps in report writing. This helps in communication, presentation, and all of that. So you see that all of these skills that we empower children with just have a way of getting them to be wholesome and well balanced. So this is where I'm going to be wrapping up this conversation. I hope you have found it helpful. From day one, it's been so insightful and value-packed. Please, if you did not listen to the previous sessions, please, I want you to take time out to watch the replay. Very important. As you watch, write your insights and implement. It's not about listening in on live sessions or going from one class to the other. The most important thing is what you are implementing. If you really implement, you would see a change. And it's not just about implementing, but following through. That is what I want to encourage every one of us to do. So I want you can drop your highlights in the group chat. You can send them to me. You can drop them in the comments, and please, I want you to share this video, not just this one. Just go back to the YouTube channel and share the replays of the 3 sessions that we have had so far, so that more parents can get a hold of this information. Please do this for me. And if you are not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do, because I'm going to be doing more of these sessions just to give back, just to assist parents, apart from my paid services, just to assist parents to be in the right position and have the right information to actually raise children who they will be proud of. Thank you all so much. Once again, you can also follow me across social media, and just let us know how this has been impactful, how it has been helpful. Thank you so much, everyone. Let me know if you got value from this session. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'll see you again next time. And it's bye for now.